Hi, welcome back to another episode of Oliver's Rehab Journey. And if you'll remember last week, we put on the 3D Barefoot sole protection pads. And unfortunately, we got a lot of mud during the week and they just came right off. So I was kind of disappointed. It was definitely user error. I didn't put enough glue on underneath. So luckily, the day that they came off, we had a special delivery come and his flex boots finally arrived. So I've done a lot of research on hoof boots and I just had a lot of concerns about fungal infections, as you all know, and breathability and durability, especially with the mud. And the flex boots are from Finland. So they're supposedly really good with the mud. And I just really enjoy the way that they flex. It's in the name when I put them on. And I was just super pleased with the whole process of putting them together and putting them on because as you'll see in a second, we got hit with a ton of mud, and Oliver's an absolute mud monster. You can't tell. So I just considered a lot of different options when it came to hoof boots and hoof protection because of the mud. And my biggest priority is not robbing Peter to pay Paul when it comes to hoof care. So, what I mean by that is, I don't want to give him a secondary thrush infection. I don't want to damage his hoof wall potentially by applying glue ons because they can damage the hoof wall over time, in my experience. And I don't want to make his feet even softer with a super moist fungal environment inside of a boot. So far, these have really impressed me. As you can see, they literally get covered in mud. This is after I knocked the mud off, but I haven't rinsed them off with water yet. And I'm also seeing an improvement in the density of his soles, so they're not giving as much to pressure around his frog tip, especially. And he was kind of losing concavity around his frog tip as well. And based on like past factors, I was expecting this, especially with the mud. So, super grateful that these have been helpful. And I have also been trying to make sure I take them off and clean out the inside of the foot, as well as check for any rubs, especially around his fetlocks, which is what I'm doing right here in his heel bulbs. Making sure there's no sensitivity and that the boot fit is correct because that is optimal. And then also, I've been applying this Gold Bond powder to the inside. This is supposed to keep down on the moisture. Supposedly, we'll see what happens with the winter wet weather that we're dealing with right now. You can see in the background of this video just how sloppy his stall is, and unfortunately that's going to be the case until at least March or April. So yippee. That's what we have to look forward to. But I'm super grateful that the flex boots were developed in an area that's pretty similar. They're made to deal with the mud and the water, and I've been really impressed with how much they actually flex around the hoof because the boot fit is also equally important to their comfort. Like if their boots are too small or if they're too large, you will deal with issues like the rubbing or twisting, even. So these ones seem like they're just a comfortable fit overall for him. And I've been really impressed with the way that he has been moving. What's really fascinating, and I will show you with his movement, is that I've been seeing a lot of biomechanical like just dysfunctions in his body since the boots have been on, and that is a really good sign to me that they're helping his feet feel better. And also it shows me where we need to work to improve his body's strength and straightness. And I've been really pleased with his ability to cope through all of this. Like, he is definitely very clear on what works and what doesn't. And it's been really fun to be able to share that with you guys because I took a slower approach on purpose so y'all can see the differences during a barefoot rehab, like what works and what doesn't when you're trying to transition them. And I have been noticing the biomechanical issues, especially when I'm asking him to speed up, especially around a turn, kind of like right there. Um, just noticing like there's a lack of free movement through his front legs and his chest, even. And I feel like this is probably due to the rotated sternum and also compensating for sore feet. And this is something that he's probably going to have to work through along with the bodywork support and even dietary support. I've considered putting him on a joint supplement because I do have some fears that he's dealing with something in his joints somewhere, and I just want to make sure that he is being supported in the best way possible. But this was probably one of our best sessions, even with like the head tossing and having an opinion about when I ask him to go faster. And here I'm like asking him to slow down and stop. And I feel like he's like very confused about using his body properly. And it's just really cool to like take a horse that has been shod his whole life and taught to move a certain way and to kind of rewire that because you see a lot of the old things come out. So overall, I'm just really pleased with his progress. Like there's never going to be perfection. Like he's always going to be in work of some kind, and I think that says a lot about just horses in general. There's always things that come at them. Maybe they're dealing with an abscess, maybe they're dealing with a tack fit issue, or they injured themselves in the pasture or the trailer or what have you. And you just have to learn how to work through it and support them the best way possible. And here's a little bit of a progress shot on his posture. He's able to stand a lot more square these days, and he seems super open and willing to work instead of his feet hurting. So just super grateful for these boots, super excited to see where we go from here and how much we can develop his hooves and his body. So thank you for watching and hope you all have a great week.